Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news, and let's get straight into it, to be honest, because I tell you what, there's actually quite a lot of stuff in there I don't believe. We're going to be talking about Gyökeres, this Argentinian player that apparently we're bidding for, Mastantano, also talking about Wharton, Rashford, we'll talk about that as well, some comments about Wayne Rooney around Cunha and Man United, but I want to start off with something I do believe. Actually, a bit of breaking news coming out. I have had a bee in my bonnet about this one ever since I've heard it. This week is really exciting. I know some people don't want to be excited. I can't wait for Thursday night. I can't wait for the following Thursday against Bilbao at Old Trafford. Our season is on a knife edge, but it's exciting. Their best player, Sanse, or however you pronounce it, got injured last week. I've been waiting for the last 3 days to see what reports are coming out from Spain. Mrs. Goldbridge actually can speak Spanish, so I've been asking her to read all sorts of reports, and I found one today that Bilbao had a training session open to the media today and he didn't train. He didn't train today. The talk is from Spain that his injury is more significant than they hoped. And whilst he looks inevitable he'll miss the first leg, there's a high chance he'll miss the second leg. So that is a very important player for Athletic Club, arguably their best player, looking like he's going to miss at least the first leg and maybe the second leg. Now, some people might go spin, spin, spin. Maybe they are playing a game. But I've got to be honest with you, I don't wish an injury on anybody, but people can say, oh, look at you're hoping their best players out. Hello, Delo, Xerxes, Ahmad, De Ligt. How many bloody injuries have we had? You know? So let's just see what happens with that. Some people saying gracias. Yes, por favor. Dos pintos con limón, por favor. That basically means 2 pints with a dash of lemonade. Thank you. There we go. La Cuenta. Bill. Jokers, welcome. Thank you very much for being a member for 34 months. And welcome to Kaz and Ollie for joining the members club as well. Right, let's get into some bigger stuff as well. There's some weird stuff coming out tonight. And I want to start off with, I mean, this is no lie. This is no lie. I mean, how do you do this? Transfer News Live on X has got 2.5 million followers. And they've put a story out in the last hour saying that Man United have agreed a deal with Gyökeres. So I've gone looking around for where this might be coming from. And effectively, it's from Football Insider, who are saying that Manchester United and Gyökeres is a done deal. Man United are confident their move to signing sporting superstar Gyökeres is a done deal, sources have told Football Insider. And that is all I can find. That's all I can find. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, is my smiley answer. But actually, there's a lot more stuff to get into tonight that's worthy. Wharton, the Rashford story, Mastantano, this next Messi player. But I actually wanted to throw Gyökeres in after the Bilbao player because did he not score 4 goals the other night? Source, trust me, bro. Yeah. Did he not score 4 goals the other night? Why, regardless of this story being absolute nonsense, explain to me this. Why are Manchester United Football Club not moving heaven and earth for this player who basically was a Coventry City striker in the Championship, and Ruben Amorim turned him into one of the best strikers in the world? Why the hell is that open goal not an obsession to bring him to Old Trafford? Why are we sat here with a very high probability that he's going to go to Arsenal? And yes, John Ray, you've nailed it. Because we can't afford it. Yabba dabba do. Or in this case, yabba dabba don't. It just, and I think you're absolutely spot on, John. And I'm very glad that you've solved it quicker because I think I was going to have a little mini rant. But yes, thank you, John. You're a lot more intelligent than the John I used to be friends with. Yes, we can't afford it. That's what it's all about. We can't afford Gyökeres. That's why we're going for Liam Delap. But it annoys me. The guy's a bloody revelation. And it's because of Ruben Amorim. And Ruben Amram's now a Man United manager, and we need an experienced striker. And it just bloody annoys me. And people can say, well, he wants to play Champions League football. Hello! We might be playing Champions League football next year as well. So I just think, it just annoys me. It really does annoy me. But no, not for 1 minute do I think there's any truth in the Gyökeres story. And trust me, bro, I've had a few people messaging me about this tonight saying, what do you think about this story? And I thought, look, we need to kill it dead. What I've been told is that he's an Arsenal player, and I got told that 2 weeks ago, and I got told today that Zubimendi is an Arsenal player as well. So they're getting their business done early, and they've got a very good director of football in relation to Andrea Berta. But I would pose the question, I don't think it's fair enough to just say, yeah, well, we're not doing the deal because we can't afford it. We're Manchester United. We're absolutely terrible, and this player played for Ruben Amram. I don't care how we do it. Rob a bloody bank. Don't rob a bank. Imagine Sir Jim Radcliffe and Joel Glazer robbing a bank with bloody Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada. The Pratt gang. Don't go robbing a bank. But my main point is, if we were serious, you'd find a way. Todd Boehly would find a way with Chelsea. You know, he did find a way. You'd find a way. We're being run like a business is basically what we're doing. So we need a cheap striker. Let's get a cheap young striker over an expensive, experienced striker that's played Amram's bloody system as well. He's played the game. He's actually played the bloody system. The system that winds all these prats up. There's a striker that knows the system like the back of his hand and scores bloody loads of goals. I can't actually believe we've messed up the Gyökeres deal, or we don't want to do the Gyökeres deal. Like, he's the most perfect bloody striker in the world. You could keep Rasmus, have Gyökeres as the main striker. He's played the system. He could learn off him. Who's teaching Delap the system next year? Nobody, because he's never bloody played it. We've actually got a guy who wants a move, who can play the bloody system, and you know, he's experienced. But we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Anyway, let me talk about the next story. So Manchester United, Real Madrid and PSG have all made offers for Franco Mastantuono. Scored a fantastic free kick at the weekend. Very, very good free kick. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Of more importance, though, the actual story came out that he's not going to move in 2025 and that they want to keep him where he is. And another story said that PSG have opened up talks to sign him. Look, I'll love it if I get proved wrong on this, but what did I say when we got linked to him a few weeks ago? I don't believe it. We won't do that deal because we always get linked to these Argentinian prodigies and we never bloody buy them. What was the name of the centre-back again? Remind me in the chat. There was a centre-back last year that we got linked to at around this time for about a month and he ended up signing for Chelsea. We were never bloody signing this player. And people just get so excited about it. We were never going to get him. We're literally being used again. Man United, Anselmino, that was it. Yeah, we're not doing this deal. We're not doing this deal. It's complete and utter bullshit. Glazers would use a Fiat Panda as a getaway car if they robbed a bank. Todd Boehly would get hold of a Porsche or something, says Emily Derry. Hope you're doing well, Emily. Wish we would have bought him in from Coventry. With that being said, I doubt he would turn into the goal machine that he is now. No, Killen, I disagree. Bringing him in from Coventry is like bringing Delap in from Ipswich. We can't. We don't need. I said this morning. If you haven't watched the morning show, check it out. We don't need more projects. We can't turn Gyökeres at Coventry into what he is at Sporting. We have to buy them from Sporting. Like, we can't do what Wolves have done with Cunha. That we have to buy Cunha. We couldn't do what Dortmund did with Bellingham. We had to buy Bellingham from Dortmund. We couldn't do what Dortmund did with Haaland. We'd have to buy him from Dortmund. We can't develop. We don't do that. We just don't do that. I don't know why we think we do that. I don't know why Sir Jim has got Wilcox in to do that, because we don't do that. We don't develop players. So I don't know why we think we can buy players and develop them, because we don't do it. I think Yoro's very different because Yoro is a generational centre-back. I think that's why Real Madrid wanted him. And I think Camavinga's different if we got hold of him. I think there are a few players out there that you just bring in and they're pretty much ready to go and they're going to just grow because they're generational. But we don't develop. Delap's going to be developmental. Dorgu's developmental. Garnacho's developmental. We don't develop players. So I don't know why that's our strategy. Unless you're bringing in someone like Yoro every year, I think it's a stupid idea. The one John that left his missus, says Tony. Yeah. No, she left him. See, Yeah, I used to have this friend where I used to live called John, and he was a bit of a prat, really, and a show-off. And I knew what was going to happen. Is he bought this car, and he was just showing off. Like, he bought this car, never bloody used it. Bought it in COVID as well. No one was really driving around then. But through that summer, his missus was washing the car every day in a bikini. It was raining sometimes, and I knew what was going on. People weren't looking at the car; they're looking at his missus, and she wanted them to. Lo and behold, saw him down the pub, and he was crying into a baby sham. No, he wasn't. He was crying into a beer. To be fair, I lied about that bit. And yeah, she left him, and I didn't actually feel sorry for him because he was such a knobhead. But you know, I said to him, John, I would stop, but I'm busy. But told you so. And he said, you didn't tell me so. And I went, oh, I must have thought it. Everyone else was. Bye. It's down to lack of funds as always. The Glazers brokers, says Mike JW. Gonna believe the Gyökeres story for my happiness, says Jacob. I'll give you some happiness, Jacob. United this week. I don't understand people this week who aren't getting excited about United because, trust me, bro, what you're going to feel like a week on Thursday at 10 o'clock if we've been knocked out is lower than you've ever felt. So if you can't get excited about the next 10 days, then don't come moaning if we get knocked out because that's going to be a real low. Solid Blake says, what car was it? This is going to get me in trouble if Mrs. Goldbridge is... I can't remember what the car was. But you remember she was wearing a bikini. Everybody, it was raining. If you're looking for a new career mode series on FT25 and go and subscribe to Save My Club and watch their first of many series, Sunderland Till I Try, says Save My Club. Lovely stuff. I presume that's you. Thank you very much for your super chat. Check that out, everybody. Okay, let's move on. So, yeah, I don't believe the Mastantano story. I don't believe the Gyökeres story. Another story as well. And I don't... Look, there's lots. I want to talk about what Wayne Rooney said. Really good stuff. And obviously, we've spoken about the Bilbao player being out. And, you know, there's some nice twists and turns here. I 100% believe the Cunha story, by the way. I do not think that's a load of rubbish. But Adam Wharton, Manchester Evening News put it out there today that Man United are one of a couple of clubs looking at Wharton. Fabrizio Romano came out and said basically there's nothing serious at the moment from Manchester United around Adam Wharton. That doesn't mean something won't happen, but I don't really understand. And this is not a criticism; it's an observation. I'm nearly going to sing about John's missus there. I see you, baby. No. I think she did have that on the radio, actually, at the time. You know that song, I See You, Baby, shaking that out? No, I'm joking. If John's watching, he has remarried. But I don't really think he's... anyway, this is a story for going for Goldbridge. This is the United stand. People are going, what are you talking about? This is more... The Adam Wharton story more interesting than John's sinister new wife, trust me. Or maybe not. But look, the Wharton story, it fascinates me because I've seen a few people on social media, X specifically, talking about, well, if we get Cunha in and we get Delap, I think Adam Wharton's the player that we should go for in the midfield. And I feel like going, stop. Like, really do stop, because you don't live in the real world. You live in a fantasy world. You can't just chuck players out that aren't realistic. If we're all playing that game, then I'll play that game as well. You know, can we get Camavinga from Real Madrid then? I think that would be I think he'd be a decent player for Man United. Maybe Rodrigo looks like, you know, it doesn't really work with him and Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. Look, we're not getting Wharton. If we went and got Wharton, I'd be very excited. I'd be very happy. But we're not getting Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. And it baffles me why people even waste their breath talking about this is the player I'd go and get. Is it? So you're living in a fantasy world and talking about a Crystal Palace midfielder. Surely if you're living in a fantasy world, you know, you might be off doing something else other than, you know, if I was in charge, I'd buy Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. And I bet you'd be doing something else, actually, in your fantasy world. Like, we're not buying Wharton. Why do people start talking about fantasy? Like, we're Manchester United. I've just told you, why are we not signing Gyökeres? It's the most obvious signing in the bloody world. He's a goal-scoring machine. Amorim made him. We need a striker for his system, and we're going for Liam Delap. So why the hell, if we're not going to do that, would we go and find the money to sign Wharton? And yet, we see people all day because Wharton played well for Palace. Oh, Wharton would be the dream. Wharton, whatever. You know, get bloody Gyökeres and then we'll talk about Wharton. We're not bloody signing him, are we? And I just get a little bit frustrated and tired sometimes of the speculative nonsense. We're better than that. We're actually talking about viable options here in relation to Cunha and Ederson. Why are we talking about bloody Wharton? Let's not go off down Fantasy Avenue. Let's stay on Reality Street. And the reality is there might be a chance of Ederson based upon what Fabrizio said last week and our good relationship with Atalanta. When it comes to Crystal Palace, they're going to rinse us like a wet through dish towel. Like, we're not going to do that deal. It's not going to happen. They're going to want 60, 70 million up front. They're not going to do it. So let's focus on the reality. Say we get rid of our wingers and the clowns decide to sack Amorim. We appoint a new manager who doesn't play his system. Now we are without wingers, says It's Cyan Lee. I mean, this is a great point, actually. You're taking me off topic for a moment, but I did talk about John's wife and a car washing exploit. So this is football related. I think this is a really good comment from It's Cyan, actually. And it's not really something that I've thought about massively, but he's right. All these people saying sack Amorim, as I said, I think it's moronic. I know that upset Lisa Reynolds last night, but I think it is moronic because it doesn't make any sense to sack Amorim before you've given him a pre-season and a transfer window, and he's only been here 5 minutes. But what I always said, and I think what we always acknowledged about Amorim was Manchester United have always been a back four club. We've always been a back four club. Probably, well, certainly in my lifetime, probably in Ricky's lifetime. You know, maybe we've always been a back four. Maybe Man United have been a back four club since its inception. I mean, I don't remember. Didn't they used to play inside halves? Get in the chat with old-styled formation positions. They just have really weird positions. I think they had inside forward, inside half. Yeah, anyway, we've pretty much always been a back four club. We get rid of Ten Hag, we bring in Amorim. Wow, Man United are going to a back three. We've never done that in our history consistently. We've done it in the odd game. Sir Alex did it occasionally, but we changed position. We changed philosophy completely. We start buying players for that philosophy. If we then sack him, the cost of that's going to be a lot more to go back to a back four again. So it's a very good point. It took 7 years for Sir Alex to build a team to win his first Premier League. I feel we have no patience anymore, which is a shame. This is Love Hate Games. Yeah, well, look, if something is damaged over a 10-year period, why will it not take 10 years to fix it? I don't think it will take 10 years, but I have said that before. If you think that appointing Solskjaer set us back 3 years, then why wouldn't it take us 3 years to get back to where we were before? Why do people think we can solve this in 5 months? Problems that have been going on for 10 years. And it's a great point again. Love hate games. Thank you. Patrick Lynch is in the chat. He says, United are the marquee British team. Will always be linked with up-and-coming British talent because it generates news. It's been more frequent now since the gym has come in. Who's hotter, John's ex-wife or John's new wife, says David. No comments. Cunha aside, we're looking at 30 to 45 million pound players, if that, because aside from quality, we also need quantity, says Emily Derry. There we go. And Sajoj says, I just feel the reason we're going for Cunha is only to supplement a striker like Delap instead of an experienced striker like Gyökeres. No, I think Delap's highly likely to happen, mate. 100%, yeah. So, is it possible United get stuck with Rashford now? We're going to talk about that, Richie. Thank you very much. Good thing that's not me. Been faithful 3 years, says John. No, you're a good John, you are. Why is Guirassy at Dortmund not a striker option? He's been consistent, says Markson. Look, maybe we should have gone for Guirassy in that January window. Maybe we should have done. But I don't think we're going to go anywhere near him now. The best comments the last game from a commentator was, why are the owners looking for a second stadium when they need a decent first team? Yes, Sandy, very, very true. I don't know why Man United are obsessed about regenerating Old Trafford and the area around it when the team's fucking shit, but that's what happens when you run by a business. Remember back in the day when Cologne made something like a GoFundMe and collected from fans to buy Podolski? I expect this from our beloved club, says Georgie. I think our fans would do a GoFundMe, though. I know it's never been done properly, but I think if Manchester United fans got together and did a GoFundMe to sign Gyökeres, we would raise the money. But why the bloody hell should we, when you've got knobheads like that in charge? Mark, we got linked with every player in Europe, says Slow Sports News. Hope you're doing well. And I wish we could... thank you very much to Killen for that as well. Yeah, shout out Slow Sports News, legend. Who's hotter? Sorry, done that one. Did John's ex-wife wash your car? I know what that means, and she didn't know. And can the owners not... That was from Angel Bomb, filth. And Yusuf says, can the owners not see that Liverpool just won their 20th title and equalled us? Does it not affect them the way it affects us supporters to do something about it? This is a brilliant comment as well. There's some really good stuff coming in from you lot tonight. Yusuf is absolutely spot on. The reason, or one of the reasons, that Liverpool Football Club has eclipsed Manchester United over the last 10 years, and it has been the last 10 years, certainly since Klopp's come in, they've been knocking on many titles. Like, Liverpool could have more titles than what they've actually got. But you know what? You're absolutely spot on. If I was in charge of United, or you was in charge of United, it would bother you every single day. It would motivate you every single day. You would go into work every single day and say, why the hell are they up the road, them, winning titles, and we're a bloody embarrassment? But have you noticed that Manchester United Football Club, the fire has gone out? It's not gone out from the fans, but the actual owners of the football club, the actual rhythm of the football club, the actual boardroom of the football club has got as much life in it as bloody roadkill. You look at Barada and co sat there in the fucking stadium yesterday and every other game. They're not Man United fans. They're bloody bank managers. They're accountants. They're bean pushers. They don't bloody care that Liverpool have won the title. I doubt the players give a shit. We used to have people like Roy Keane, David Beckham, Gary Neville, Wayne Rooney, who would take offence at Liverpool winning the league. It would absolutely destroy them. Sir Alex Ferguson as well. That football club doesn't have a soul anymore. It doesn't have an identity anymore. It's a name. It says it on the stadium. It says Manchester United on the stadium, but it doesn't have any individuals in it that actually give a shit about rivalry or what other people are doing. What they care about is, can we get the planning permission from the government to build this massive area so we can make a load of fucking money? Can we get Beyonce to do a concert here? Will the NFL come? Can we do some wrestling matches as well? Could we ice it over for a couple of days and do some skating? You know, that's what United care about, making bloody money. You make a bloody good point. I've never heard anybody in that football club for years speak about the rivalry with Liverpool. I haven't heard that as a rivalry. I've heard Roy Keane talk about it. I've heard Gary Neville talk about it on a bloody podcast. I've not heard anybody at the club acknowledge that Liverpool are our biggest rivals, and it's concerning that they're now level on us with 20 titles. I don't even think we've got players who give a shit about that. I mean, sorry, but one of the big reasons I love football is for the rivalry. And I'm not digging out Liverpool or anything like that. Fair play. You know, you've got a club that's just won the league. It must be bloody nice. But rivalry, tribalism is part of the passion of football. It's part of the core of football. And our football club is desensitised us to it. We're a bloody business. Oh, don't worry that Liverpool have won the title. Check out Ruben Amorim's new hoodie. Oh, don't worry that Liverpool have won the title. Don't worry about that. Because we're bringing out a commemorative kit for 1991 when we won the Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah. Why are you doing that then? Because Adidas, need to sell shirts, don't they? And it's very sad. It's very sad. And I don't think we'll ever get that back, by the way. I don't think that's coming back anytime soon. I don't think this club gives a shit about rivalry. I don't think the club gives a shit about Man City winning 8 Premier League titles in no time or Liverpool levelling up on 20. I don't think they give an absolute toss about it. I think they're actually thinking about how do we mug off this fan base a little bit more so we can make some more money. Mastantano has a 38 million release clause. We'll regret not doing it, says Melcher, and we won't do it. Can we bounce straight back to being a top-tier club, or does the road to recovery involve being a mid-tier club for a couple of years, says Kesman? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? We'll see what the summer transfer window holds. How will we move forward with players from Van Gaal, says Cecil. There can't be many players left from Van Gaal. Luke Shaw. Bill Ham says, some moronic YouTubers think Ineos can sack manager and hire a manager and still have a summer transfer window. I said this last night, mate. What that is an opinion without accountability. What that is hot air. Like, I don't know how people live like that. I don't know how, in football, I don't know how you can have a strong opinion that's not grounded in reality. Adam Wharton's the midfielder we need to sign. Where's the money coming from? Where are you getting 70 million? What's not? I don't know. We just need to sign him. Yeah, okay. You leave us to have a proper conversation. We need to sack Amorim now before it's too late. Okay, where's the money coming from to do that? Where's the money coming from to replace him? And how does that impact our summer transfer window when everyone else has already started theirs? I don't know. We just need to do it, okay? We just need to do it. I need to do it now. Shut up. I need to tweet it. Yeah. So, look, I think some people just have opinion and don't think of consequence, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I don't really understand. I don't understand sack the manager and then not having a solution. Because if you're hypothetically sacking a manager, why would you not follow through and have a hypothetical replacement or plan? So if I say, we just need to sell Rashford and we need to sell Rashford now. Okay, and what are we going to replace him with? Don't care, just get rid of him. Do it for free. I don't care about the debt. It's not my problem. Yeah. Supporting my club for 25 years, did it just become a successful club in the past with history? Will there be a future or will be another mid-table club, says Jude. Look, as we said before, Jude, I mean, I'm very excited about the next couple of games, but the flip side of that is, if we lose those games, where are we? We're not in Europe next season. It'd be a horrible season next season if we're not in Europe. Absolutely horrible. I don't know how. Actually, I'm starting to worry, but I'm not going to think about it. It would be absolutely horrible. But as we've said many times before, we are Manchester United in name. Name. You know, we're Manchester United. Yeah, in name. If an alien came down and they liked football and you changed our name to Everton and you got us to play at Goodison Park, they'd think we were Everton. And what I mean by that is, well, of course they bloody would. We're called Everton and we're playing at Goodison Park. But I mean, the same manager, the same players, the same board, they wouldn't go, oh, you've played a trick on me, haven't you? You're Man United, really? No. We're Manchester United in name, but the way we behave is not befitting of what this football club and the principles of it and the standards of it are. But that's not on Ruben Amorim. It wasn't on Erik ten Hag. It wasn't on Oli. It wasn't on Rangnick. It wasn't on Jose Mourinho. The club and what it's become is dictated to by the people who run it. The flip side of that is, and I can't believe there wouldn't be people out there that don't blame all this mess on the Glazers, is that if you were in charge or I were in charge, we would be sat here this morning. Look, imagine we get parachuted into this position. We're not responsible, but we are in charge from today. What are you going to do today? I'm going to be like, right, forget this bloody regeneration project. I couldn't give a shit about it at the moment. I'm a billionaire. I'm going to stay a billionaire. I don't care about making money out of this football club. What I care about is what's the quickest way I can get this team competing with that team, Liverpool, as quick as possible. How do I do it? How do we find ways to support this manager by giving him the players that he wants? How can you get me the money for Gyökeres? How do we get involved in that deal? Cunha, I'm very happy with. Well done. Spot on. How do I get more like that as quick as possible? How do I get him 6 experienced players in this summer? And don't talk to me about Trafford Council and the Mayor of Manchester and Gary Neville and build regenerating the area, because that's not happening for fucking 6 years anyway. So it can be in 7 years' time. For the next 6 months, I want to focus on this team. We'll deal with that. Yeah, we need a new stadium, but those idiots there were kicking out, you know, sending them back. Those idiots have let this stadium rot for 20 years. I'm sure we can wait another year while we focus on the bloody team. Find me a way of getting money into this bloody team now. while there might be a risk involved, well, fuck it, it's football. Let's do it. And I'll tell you why we're doing it. Because those lot up the road have just won another bloody Premier League title. And I'm not on my watch, am I sitting and watching them win another one. Because next year, they're going to be favourites to win it 21 times. What are we going to do? Nothing. And the year after, they might win it again 22 times. This is operation, how do we stop them up the road? And guess what? We are obsessed with Liverpool because they're our biggest rival and they're obsessed with us. So remove your head from your arse, shove those plans down the bloody toilet. We're Manchester United Football Club. Let's start bloody behaving like one and let's obsess about what's going on the pitch. Because I tell you for free, our fans don't give a shit about building a new stadium comparable to building the team. They don't. Stadium is a nice to have. Competitive team is a must have. When did we lose sight of that? When we became a bloody business. Well, we're a football club again now. Let's get on with it. But that's not how we behave. That's not how we behave. My priority signing is an Onana replacement, says Mrs. Goldbridge. Those who are Amram out are exactly the same people who were Ten Hag out for 2 years. They simply care more about online attention than about United, to Shahin. Armin says, we don't have the right recruitment team to get experienced players. Wilcox and Favell specialise in scouting young players and kids. No wonder we aren't linked to senior experienced players. I think this is something to keep an eye on, Armin, because I think that... I've never really thought of it like that, but bloody hell, I think you might be right. Why is a football club that has no recent CV of developing players recruiting lots and lots of young players? It's a risk. It's a risk because I don't believe Man United is the right environment for developing young players. Amrin might be good at it, Wilcox might be good at it, Vival might be good at it, but you don't dictate the mood of the fan base. And this fan base is tired. It's not patient. So why do you think throwing more and more young players in and asking the fan base to be patient? And why do you think those young players are going to develop when you haven't got enough experienced players? We've got to buy experienced players. If you want to develop players, you need experienced players to do it. And it just seems a bit of a weird strategy to me. And you're absolutely spot on, I think. I think, why have we gone so young? Why Wilcox's experience is Man City's youth team and Southampton for a year. Favell is all about youth. Where's the experienced guy to come in? Fabrizio Romano has just said that Carlo Ancelotti and Brazil have reached an agreement in principle. I mean, that's got to be the worst kept secret for a long time. That's been discussed for a long time, but that's not United news. Anyway, we move on. Sulai says he's got to win the Europa League to buy himself time next season. Without Europa success, I don't see Amrim lasting that long. Arteta and FA Cup, says Sulai. I agree with you and I don't agree with you, if that's possible, and I'm trying to now articulate it. So he has to win the Europa League to buy himself time, because if he doesn't have that, he's going to be under immense pressure next season. I agree. I agree that because basically next season, if we don't have any European football, on European weeks, we're basically going to play a Premier League game, all week watch European football that we're not in, and then a Premier League game. That's fine if you're winning every week, but we won't win every week. So imagine this. We play Brentford away, and we lose 2-0. And then all that week, we watch everyone else in Europe whilst looking at the Premier League table and watching ourselves in 8th. And then we play at the weekend at home to Bournemouth and we draw 1-1. And we're still in 8th. That is in October. And that is when people start going, this is fucking rubbish. We're not in Europe. We're not going to be in Europe. We're still not getting good results. And that's when it becomes a problem. So I agree with you on that, Sulai. But the problem is, I actually think that's the reality. If we're not in Europe or we are in Europe, I don't think we're going to be very good next year, because I think we're bloody miles off. So I sort of agree with you there that the pressure will ramp up massively, if results aren't good next year. But I don't think results will be good next year. But then on the flip side, where I don't agree with you, is that why bring a manager in with a completely different formation and style of play, spend money on him in the summer, and then when things aren't going well next season, sack him? So I think we could end up in the worst case scenario with a situation next season where everybody's fed up and pissed off. The media are going in on him. Certain fans are going in on him. The results aren't good. Sir Jim is resolutely backing him. And you've just got this toxic environment again of like, what's going on? And I think that is why winning the Europa League is just so important, because it will provide escapism that even if we're not doing very well in the league, we've got Real Madrid away on Wednesday. You know, it would just give escapism. Even if it's not going to account to anything, it will give escapism. I think it's just so important that United win the Europa League, because I'm telling you now, if we don't win the Europa League, it's going to be long, toxic weeks unless we're winning every week. And we're not good enough to win every week. And also, not being in the Europa League, not winning the Europa League, will impact our summer budget, which will make us even worse next season. So, yeah, we're sort of talking about what happens when we don't win the Europa League here. And I just can't put my head into that situation yet, because it fries my mind. I just get so annoyed with the impatience of the fan base, says Omar. We need to have an overhaul while simultaneously have to win every game, because these are standards. Quickest way, but also we need tactics, playing style and trophies. I think, again, a fantastic point from Omar. We need a complete and utter overhaul from top to bottom of that squad. But whilst doing that and learning a new system, we've also got to win every game. It's impossible. And if it's impossible, is the job impossible? And I've posed this question a couple of times, and we're going deeper than I wanted to here because it's an exciting week. But is the Man United job actually impossible? Is the brief actually impossible? You know, after 10 years of piling up all the other managers' shit, you bring another guy in who's not going to get the budget of those managers and is expected to make us compete with others. I think at some point we might need to just accept the job's impossible, and is becoming more impossible with every manager that we sack and recruit. But we'll have to wait and see with that. But you are right, Omar. There's no patience at the football club, and I wish I could flick a switch and give us patience, but there is no patience, and that's why people are turning on Dorgu now. There is no patience at this football club, and some people would say, well, why should they be patient? The club's been running to the ground for a decade, well, 2 decades, by the Glazers. Why should we be patient? You know, somebody said to me the other day, and they're absolutely spot on, it was in one of the comments, they said, you say there's no patience in the fan base, but why should there be patience? And they weren't being argumentative. They were basically saying, why should Man United fans be patient? We've watched this club, especially for the last 10 years, be run into the ground by these mercenary, business-motivated people, and we're still meant to sit here and be patient because Sir Jim's come along and got into bed with people that he describes as good people, and we're meant to be patient for that. Why should we be bloody patient? Because it's not Amrim's fault? Because Amrim has only just got here? Because Amrim's the fall guy? Because Amrim's the front to protect them? I don't know. But I have to be patient with Amrim because it's not his fault. But ultimately, I don't agree with some of the project bullshit that's coming out about let's buy young players and give it another 3 years because I don't trust them. But I think everything you can overanalyze, but ultimately everything comes down to one simple truth. Winning the Europa League will give us a chance. Not winning the Europa League could send us into oblivion. And that's the stakes are high. They're really, really high. Knowing the Glazers will have Vardy soon, says Not Now Dave. Well, I read today, Dave. I read today that apparently Vardy wants to stay in the Premier League. Well, maybe that explains some of the ridiculous comments we've had in the chat over the last couple of days about Vardy. Absolutely bloody no. I haven't seen Leicester that much this season, but Vardy is not in any way, shape or form the sort of player that we should be bringing into Manchester United. No way. Albin, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Ben Jones PT says, I'm sort of new to all this YouTube stuff. However, I cannot believe what I'm hearing from others blaming Amrim, not the owners. Yeah, but I don't think some of them are educated enough to understand Man United's problem with the owners. It's sort of like swimming in a puddle. You know, when the ocean provides the truth. It's a lack of education, I think. If United can pay Cunha's release clause in instalments, why can't we do that for Gyökeres by leveraging Amrim's relationship with Sporting? I don't know, Sudindra. I don't know why. I don't know why we're not. Look, you're talking to the converted. I don't know why we're not doing everything in our power to get Gyökeres, because I would say this. If you give me Delap, there's a chance we might finish 10th. If you give me Gyökeres, there's a chance we might finish in the top 5. And I know people will go, no chance, but that's how good I think he is, and that's how experienced I think he is, and that's how suitable I think he is to our system. His goal scoring is just ridiculous. Ridiculous goal scoring ability. If he goes to Arsenal, I think they'll win the league. I really do. I really, really do. I did get a super chat earlier about Rashford. I know Beth spoke about it at lunchtime, but obviously I'll give you my 2 pennies worth. So David Ornstein reported today that Marcus Rashford could be out for the rest of the season in relation to his loan move with Aston Villa. Some people are saying, does this mean he's going to be back as a Manchester United player? I would say he's coming back. Let's all get stressed. No. I would say, look, sometimes you take a breath, you get logical. What about Marcus Rashford having a hamstring injury changes the fact that he wants a new challenge? He's done well at Villa, and Amrim called him out in January numerous times, and their relationship is on the floor. Nothing. Unless Amrim turns up at Rashford's house with a bowl of fruit and a get well soon card, and they sit and watch Netflix and you make up, that it's not going to change anything, is it? So I would say, look, for Aston Villa, it's a blow because they're trying to get in the Champions League. They need to win their last 4 Premier League games, and with Rashford in the team, it makes them a better team. But from Rashford's point of view, I don't think a hamstring injury for the rest of the season is going to damage his prospects in the summer. If anything, I'd say it enhances them, maybe. It enhances them more than it damages them. I mean, look, if he'd been fit for the last 4 games and he scored 4 hat-tricks, he's going to have more options. But if he'd been fit for the last 4 games and been on the bench for Ollie Watkins and not done very well, it probably, takes him off the boil a little bit. I actually think what he's done at Aston Villa in those 2 or 3 months will have given him options in the summer. And I don't think the injury is going to change that. And I don't think the injury is going to bring him back to Manchester United. So, look, if he'd done his knee, I think he's coming back to Man United because he could be out for 6 months. But it's a hamstring injury, and he will be back probably in early June. Get a good pre-season, get a good break, and be ready to go for next season. And if anything, being injured, does that not give him and his agent a little bit more time to look at his options? So I don't think it changes anything at all, really. The load Amrim has to deal with: quick turnover on results, playing style, correct transfers, nurturing youth players, transforming mindset is unfair, says Sensei. Look, I've got a couple of other super chats we'll go to, and then we'll go into the chat itself. But I think that, bloody hell, 17,000 people watching tonight. Absolute legends. Make sure you are sharing the video and make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Big summer ahead, one way or another. And also, we are waiting for the drop on Here We Go with Cunha. Update on that, by the way, I should have said it ages ago, is where we were this morning. Like, it's soon, it's close, it's closer than close, but could be Friday morning, could be tomorrow, it could be right before kickoff on Thursday. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know with that, but it is close. But just going back to what you're saying about Amrim there, look, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, and some of them stink. I was listening to what Wayne Rooney had to say about Cunha, and whilst he was talking about that, he was talking about the expectations and demands at Manchester United. And he was saying, you need to be winning your Premier League games because it gives you momentum and consistency going into Europa League games. So I'd pick my strongest team. Now, I'm not here to take the piss out of Wayne Rooney's coaching record because it ain't that great. But it's another ex-player with a platform saying something to a lot of people that I don't think is fair. I'd pick my strongest team ahead of big games in the Europa League because we might get some momentum. I wouldn't pick my strongest team, Wayne, really, because we've got so many injuries, and these 2 games against Athletic Club and hopefully a final are just so big. They are so big. You would be ridiculed if you pick your strongest team against Brentford and lose a couple of players. You just, it's idealistic, claptrap, nonsense. And we can all talk it when we, you know, an opinion without accountability is very, very easy. Very, very easy. You know, it really is. But when it's your job on the line and it's your reputation, everybody's going to have a different opinion. For me, I would pick a team against Brentford at the weekend, which is damage limitation. What's the best team I can pick without risking the result in the second leg? And that's my brief to my coaches, to my fitness people. What's the best team I can pick without damaging my chances on Thursday? And if you're telling me Bruno Fernandes can play 90 minutes on Sunday and 90 minutes on the following Thursday, then I'm going to pick Bruno Fernandes. And that's as simple as it's going to be. But I'll tell you for free, our fitness department are shit scared, and they will go, well, if you want people fit on Thursday, then I wouldn't be playing them on Sunday, you know? So he won't have that. Again, it's on his shoulders, isn't it? Again, maybe we could sign Vardy as a striker coach, says Carlo. And Mr. Polford says, even if we get Champions League, we'll be bounced at the first hurdle unless we totally revamp cracks that can't be papered over. Yeah, but you know what, Mr. Polford? I don't think anybody wants us to be in the Champions League to win it. I think we want to be in the Champions League to get the £100 million that you get for being in it, and also not to be bored shitless from Monday to Friday on a European week. That's why we want to be in the Champions League. No one's expecting us to win it. I mean, I bloody love it if we did, but yeah. We need experience instead of another prospect. Even if we get Cunha, we still need another centre midfielder, CDM, not to mention a striker. Personally won't cash in on Delap, says Georgie. Well, this is an interesting thing on Cunha as well. I don't know whether I wrote down what Rooney said about it. I quite liked what he said, actually. He said about Cunha, Man United need to move away from signing people like Pogba or I think he said Sancho or Zlatan, you know, big superstars that everybody goes, oh my God, Man United have got Pogba, they've got Zlatan, they're going to be amazing. He said they need to look at what Liverpool have done and bring in players that are, you know, come in with, you know, like Cunha's not Zlatan, Cunha's not Pogba, but Alexi McAllister wasn't Steven Gerrard. He was a good player from Brighton. And I think that Rooney didn't say Alexi McAllister. He said you need to look at how Liverpool have recruited. But when he said it, I wish he had said Alexi McAllister, because I think that's exactly the right profile of player that we need. And I think Wayne Rooney's right. We need to buy players like Alexi McAllister. Not position, but profile. Alexi McAllister at Brighton was a really consistent player that made... Imagine pausing to say player. A really consistent player that provided leadership and consistency at Brighton. And he's then gone to Liverpool and he's been a revelation. But Alexi McAllister wouldn't be the profile of a Paul Pogba or a Zlatan, you know? And I think we do need to bring these players in. They're experienced players. And Cunha, for me, fits the similar sort of profile to Alexi McAllister going from Brighton to Liverpool, similarly going from Wolves to Manchester United. Obviously, they're different positions, but they're the sort of players that we need to be bringing into the football club. Not kids, and not superstars, but the Alexi McAllisters, the Cunhas of this world are exactly what we should be looking to bring in. Players that are talented, experienced, and hungry to take the next step. They're the profile of players that United need, and 5 or 6 of them as quick as possible, really, because if we don't, then I think we will struggle. Mark, I'm starting to believe your comment a few weeks ago that the idea is to bring in youth to sell on for PSR profit. Disgusting, says Carl. Well, also, one thing that just sort of occurred to me, because the comments have been so good tonight, one thing that occurred to me as well is that when you look at Cunha, if he is the only profile of player that we bring in like that, somebody who's ready to take the step up, who's Premier League proven and is experienced, if he's the only one we bring in, another damaging aspect of that is that the pressure that's on him straight away. Like, well, he's the only one we brought in like that. He's got to work. You've got to work. You've got to work. Oh, it's not working straight away. Like, you need 3 or 4 of the players like that to share the load. You need 3 or 4 players like that because we need 3 or 4 players like that. But if we only bring one in and the rest are kids, then you're looking at Cunha straight away going, well, you've got to get on with it, mate. You're the experienced one. And that's the thing, the experienced one. We need the experienced 4. We need the famous 5. We need the fantastic 4. Like, we don't need the experienced 1. We're a massive work in progress. So it needs to be, we need more signings like that. Spin says, our name is starting to dissipate. Why would these top footballers join our club? Our history is unmatched, but does that outweigh the last 10 years of disappointment? We are a laughingstock. Look, Wayne Rooney did say that as well. He said, look, if I'm a player looking to join Man United, I am looking at the recent history. I am looking, not necessarily, Man United's a big pull, but I'm looking at the manager. I'm looking at the results. I'm looking at the temperature of the fans around it. I'm looking at the owners. I'm looking at recent history. I'm looking at what other players are coming in, because I can't just go to Man United. I've got to be concerned about the circumstances. And he didn't really elaborate on that. But what I thought he probably meant is, you can't just go, well, it's Man United, massive club, massive fan base. You've also got to, you'd be foolish to not think, well, how long's Amrim's going to be here? If he's buying me, how long is he going to be here? Who else is being brought in as well? Those things are really important. 100%. Corey Lineker says, if the club is unable to develop young players, shouldn't we sell young assets to buy ready-made players? The owners have no intention of spending, says Corey. I suppose that sort of takes us back to Garnacho, doesn't it? If we can't develop Garnacho, should we sell Garnacho? And I'll be very sad about that, because I think that's a real cop-out. To sell a player we can't develop, who could go elsewhere and develop into something really special, I think is a failure. But it also sends a terrible message. If we sell Garnacho because we can't develop him, so we sell him to somebody else to develop, why are we buying players, developmental players then? Because that's an exhibit A that we're no good at developing players. Amrim needs experienced players. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. The club know it. I don't know why they're burying their head in the sand, and they need to prove it. Keep up the good work. Did you see we had a few quid from Burnley for Hannibal following their promotion? Should buy a few lunches. Thank you, Ashweir. Hi, Mark. This fan base and patience for development players in the attack. Ain't got patience for development players in the attack. We need experience and men who can do it now to help young players, says Ray, Carl, Brown, Amori. And Senor David says, did you see Victor goals yesterday? 3 out of 4 came from quality service, 2 cutbacks from the left wing, 1 pass from the cam. We don't provide enough of it. Well, will any player hit 10 league goals this season, says Richard. Gyökeres has 51 goals in 48 games, says Dizzy. I mean, those things are all pretty much what I was going to talk about next. And Ray, Carl, Brown, Amori is a legend, by the way. I hope you're doing well. If you know, you know. He's been in the chat for years. I was listening to what Bruno had to say about Rasmus, and I didn't see the interview, so I can only take the temperature of the written word. But I was let me put it this way: I wasn't in total agreement with what he said. If I can read it back to you here, I think I have the quote. Obviously, good news about Ahmad and De Ligt being back at the weekend. He basically said the team's not scoring as many goals as we should. We can't put everything on Rasmus. He has to score more, but he's the number 9 of the team. But Josh has to score. I have to score more, etc., etc., etc. But there was something else he said. He basically said that the striker needs to be looking at the way other people play so that they're anticipating those runs. So he was basically saying, you know, if someone's got the ball, they might be a player that hits a 40-yard ball over the top. So you've got to be going for that. If someone on the wings got it, they might be somebody that holds on to it for a long time and then cuts it back to the 6-yard box. So you've got to be anticipating that. And I thought, well, I think Gavin's got it spot on. I thought that's all fine and well if you've got players that do that on the regular. But what if you've got players that sometimes shoot? What if you've got players that sometimes don't cut it back? Like, should you just keep running to the cutback 10 times and it's not there? Should you keep making the run over the top? You know, I don't think it's as simple as whoever the striker is, because it's been going on for years. It's not just a Rasmus thing. It was happening with Cavani. It was happening with Xerxes when he was up front, Rashford, Martial, even Ronaldo. We do not service the striker to the level that other clubs do. And if we start implementing that mentality, then the striker, whoever it is next season, whether it's Delap, Gyökeres or whoever, they will start to score goals. But we need to service the striker. If everybody had the mentality of Casemiro, we would create a lot of chances, because Casemiro is actually one of the most intelligent players we have when it comes to not taking the shot and putting it into the danger area. But unfortunately, look, we were 1-0 down yesterday with 4 minutes to go and Bruno Fernandes had a shot from 40 yards. People forget about that because we got an equaliser just after. He had a shot from 40 yards as the captain of the team. Against 10 men, where we've got overloads on the left-hand side, he had a shot from 40 yards. So, you know, until that changes, I don't think even a Gyökeres is going to come in and score 30 goals for Manchester United. You have to be servicing a striker like that. But the flip side of that coin is if you bring Gyökeres in or Osimhen in, they're not going to tolerate people shooting from 40 yards. They're going to say, what the fuck are you doing? Which is why we need an experienced striker and not another development player, in my opinion. What a show it's been today. Absolutely fantastic. I think that is probably the best Monday night show we've done this week. It was brilliant. But seriously, no, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Some of the comments tonight have been so good. And I've really enjoyed it. And hopefully it's the start or the sign of a very, very big week for Manchester United, because beyond the stuff I don't believe and beyond the stuff we talked that was true, and the very real conversations we've had, I'm massively excited about the next 2 games in Europe. And I can't contemplate what happens if we get knocked out. Genuinely makes me feel sick. All I'm thinking about is the excitement of being in the final. And then if we get to the final, by the way, that it just becomes massively perilous as well. But you've got to put yourself in there. Bring it on, says Mini Brew. Exactly. Bruno also had a shot right before Maguire's header as well, says Shahin. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I wasn't aware of that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Which is why we should always, always praise Casemiro. I watched it again today. That winning goal to Maguire. Every Man United fan should tell that story to anyone who listen. The biggest problem at Man United is what Casemiro did to win us that game against Lyon. Because I can think of 6 players in that team that would have took another touch and had a shot for glory. Casemiro saw the glory, knew the chances of it going in were limited, and pinged it to the back post where a guy who's brilliant in the air won us the game. That's IQ. His legs might be going, but the brain never does. Absolutely brilliant from Casemiro. And it should be used by everybody to ridicule all these people who keep shooting, because it was brilliant. And that's experience for you. Exactly, Greg. That's experience. That's experience. And I don't want to call out any individual player here, but I guarantee you now, if that ball had dropped to him, and him, they'd have shot. They would have shot. I'm so glad it fell to Casemiro, because he's probably one of the only players who, with space in front of him, wouldn't have pushed forward and had a shot. And he pinged it to the back post. Discipline and experience and understanding the game. Yes. Thanks everyone for watching. Absolute legends. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Bottom right-hand corner. Big week ahead. We're heading out to Bilbao tomorrow, actually. Better going out there with the producer, Ryan. So they will be going out. We will be able to get you some footage and stuff from there. But is it me tomorrow? It's me tomorrow, yeah. 2 o'clock tomorrow. 10 o'clock tomorrow. And then it's 7 o'clock next 2 nights because of the Champions League on That's Football. And then, of course, Thursday, it's our turn. Can't wait. What an amazing show tonight. Thank you very much. So good. Are you putting your suit on for the final? No, I've ordered my bottle of red. That was a tradition from the last game. And I've got my hoodie from that game as well. So, yeah, they're my traditions. We move. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.